Alrighty, welcome everyone to Curse of the Azure Bonds, the second of the Gold Box games. We had a bunch of naming incentives that came in, so first thing I'm going to do is make some characters. I'm going to slightly change up my usual format here, not in a big way, but a small one. We're going to go ahead and go 2 paladins today. Stats don't matter because we can change that. So the first name we've got, I guess I'll just go down the list alphabetically. So we have Alohand. Let's go ahead and give him a reasonable weapon that I like. Save Alohand, and let's see, next character, we'll do a second paladin. Naming this character Jazz Master. I can give them whatever. I like swords, though. I am a sword fiend. Okay, next character we're going to do a standard fighter. Unfortunately, we have to be male characters for most of these because old first edition AD&D was both sexist and racist. Very sad story. So, because of that, only males can reach the maximum strength that we want to give our characters. That's fine. I think I'll go ahead and change our color of Red Luigi here since that's his name. Go a little bit of red. Next character is going to be Spindleshins. As I'll talk a little bit more about that once I start messing with stats. Spindleshins. Good enough. Yes. And now we actually get our one female character. It's very important to have female character. Cleric gets to be female because they actually can have the same maximum strength because they're not fighters. That's actually a very good initial roll. Spindleshins. Oh, we did Spindleshins already. This is Twig a Thicket. And our final... Oh, nope, not a human. We need a half-elf.
Remember I said we got the extra name too?
Yes, we do have the 7th character as well, but this is the final one that will be in the active party.
Oh, I see.
The 7th character has a very special job, but they won't be present in our main party yet. But I'm mostly talking to myself, so let's see. This one is going to be Werble. And... good enough. Alright, and so the 7th character was... what was the name you said for that?
Wiggles.
Wiggles? Okay.
Capital W-I-G-G-L-E-S.
Okay. Everything is all caps in this game. There are no small cases, so...
That's fair.
Alright, so now we're going to add these characters to the party. Ignore Bags, he's from a previous run. Verbal. That. So our stats are all over the place. One of the things this game allows you to do, though, is actually edit your stats, as you see I'm doing here. You can, before you begin the adventure, you can set them to anything you want. Like, once they start adventuring, their stats are set, but we might as well maximize our stats, because why would we do anything else for a speedrun? The actual purpose of this, why they put this in the game, was so that you could make your characters have exactly the stats that your tabletop characters that you made did, because who doesn't like recreating their regular RPG characters? And me, personally, I very much remember having maximum stat characters, just rolling all 18s whenever I played this game. And perfect 100s, 18-100 percentile strength, which you have a 1 in 100 chance of getting. Yes, that was definitely my character. But just maximizing these stats. It's very important in first edition AD&D as well, because the stats are extremely skewed. Later editions of D&D, of course, would fix this, so that having good stats was still good, but in effectively the way they work in this game, having 14s would be totally useless. You don't get any benefit at all in any appreciable way for anything by having 14s in strength, dexterity, or constitution. It'd be no different than having 8s. Pretty crazy. Oh, I need to do hit points for those 2 characters, though. Uh-oh. Well, we edited the name as well. Can't go that way, I forgot on this game. even though the Gold Box games run on generally the same system, they have slight subtle differences between them all. One of them is that you can actually edit the character name this as well. Okay, so this is our initial starting party. And let me go back so I can look at... that's here, yes. Luckily, I can see all this at every time, so I'm going to be able to see all that. Okay, so now we are finally ready to begin the adventure. So here we go. So, we are advanced adventurers. Yesterday, we just saved the city of Flan from the monsters that inhabited it, but now we went adventuring west towards the land of Cormyr, and we got captured and knocked unconscious, and not only did these people strip all of our stuff, but they also put these tattoos on us. We have these weird glowing magical tattoos on our arms that are these Azure bonds, as the titular name of the game is. So we have to go on a quest to find who these people are that put it on us and get ourselves freed, and we find out that these things are not just bad fashion, they have a lot of problems that they give to us. So first thing, we awoke in an inn with a lot of money at least, so we can go buy ourselves some equipment. We don't have any magic, but at least we can buy normal stuff. So we're going to buy some plate mail, shields, and longswords for most of our characters. It's the best overall equipment we can have for this game for overall damage and protection on the base level. For Spindleshin, since he's towards the back, we're also going to go ahead and buy him a bow and some arrows. I also have to buy items one at a time, like in the Dragon Warrior game, but luckily it loads them very fast. Our cleric cannot use swords, but she can use a flail, hammer, a mace is fine too. I see that first. And she can still use plate mail though, and she can also use a staff sling, which is what she'll actually be using most of the game. Even though our fighter magic user is a magic user, because this is first edition AD&D, he can actually wear plate mail armor and use still use magic. Later editions of D&D don't allow you to become that OP, but it's a nice little thing in this game. We need to remember to equip all of our equipment so we can actually fight. You may notice that we have an armor class list here, and by putting on this armor class, it goes low. If you're not familiar with first edition AD&D rules, or second edition, which is very similar, they're a bit weird. So our armor class gets lower, and that means we're harder to hit. So the next thing we need to do is come into here to talk to the Sage Filani. This is a necessary flag. We ask her about our magic bonds. She gives us a lot of useless information that isn't even worth talking about. Now we try to leave the city. While the king's carriage suddenly shows up as we're trying to leave the city, and suddenly the Azure bonds compel us to attack the king's carriage. Turns out it's not actually the king, it's a person who has a perfect voice who can mimic the king, who is being used as a decoy because he knew assassins were after him. Turns out, though, even though we didn't know it, we're those assassins. Oops. So now, using paralyzation, we can instantly one-shot these guys, which is the fastest way. Now more guards show up and ask if we surrender. We do. They throw us in jail, but it's a useless RPG jail where we get to keep our equipment. Thieves break us out and take us down below. So as it turns out, there's this group called the Fire Knives, which are trying to assassinate the king. And one of our bonds mimics the Fire Knives. So apparently they're part of this organization or collection of people who have bonded us, and they're trying to use us to kill the king. They're also fighting against the thieves, so the thieves are trying to help us out, which is very kind of them. I didn't actually rest, so I didn't get those spells back. Small thing I do sometimes. Now I rest. But while we're busy talking about our possible alliance, the he doesn't need too much. The only person who can really be useful here other than attacking the enemy is the cleric. Try to cast some more hold person spells. How far can I reach? Not that far. Luckily, we have a bunch of thief allies as well, so there's this civil war going on. Some of the thieves are working with the red knife, the fire knives, because, you know, basic kind of, oh, that's good that that missed. Evil organization. Darn, lost my spell because of getting hit. That's unfortunate. Yep. So now this is just, as you can see, since this is an old DOS game and we have it running at high speed, the game goes pretty quick for these auto battles. Fortunately, we're not getting a lot of good luck in our hits. Let's go ahead and see if the cleric can do a few more hold person spells now. Good, got that off. Who is full? Okay, held the 2 fire knives, which is nice. Unfortunately, we've got some running away, which is going to waste some time as we have to track them down. The one problem with our plate mail is that it does reduce our speed. They have realistic encumbrance in this game. According to 1st edition rules, even carrying coins will weigh us down. So, since the only thing we need money for is to gain levels, there's no really good shops in this game to get better equipment or anything. All the good stuff we'll just find. We want to make sure not to carry too much equipment around. Save the game here so that, because we want to avoid any random encounters like that. These can take a long time and be dangerous, so it's faster just to quit and reload. So you'll see this reloading screen quite a bit. Begin entering. Alright, now we have a set encounter in this room as these fire knives are unleashing these 4 doggos on us. Get out your Frankerz's and oh my dogs. These poor little doggos are being forced to fight. It's very cruel with the fire knives. Especially since I just ran another marathon this weekend that was raising money for Go Rescue Dog Shelter. Makes this battle feel really bad. Luckily, it's a pretty easy fight, because the doggos are not very strong. They shouldn't be put into combat by these very angry people. There are also monkeys that we can encounter in random encounters, but we don't actually deal with them. That's unfortunate. This is a very hard to break into room. So now we're going to pick up a couple of interesting items here, including, most importantly, the dust. I'm also going to go ahead and grab the potions, so that, Alright. Now we can rest safely here to get back our things, as well as to heal up. Now luckily, if you watched Pool of Radiance yesterday, the only way we had to heal was to rest for days on end. Luckily this game we have a cleric, and also we get a fix command that gives us the opportunity to... I'm going to trade one more thing over for speed. This allows us to quickly heal up by simulating casting healing spells and resting to get the spells back. So it's a very handy little feature. Now, the first thing we have to do is escape the thieves' hideout into the sewers. The sewers are pretty darn safe. There are no random encounters in here. A lot of set encounters that we could deal with, but we will actually be able to avoid most of them. Unless I take the wrong way around and go into these set encounters. Oops, oh well. Fix was a huge quality of life improvement. Yeah, Ion Stones only raise your stats up to a maximum of 18, so since we already have 18s, Ion Stones are completely useless to us. We're just going to go ahead and fix up for safety here. And this is the one I'm actually supposed to go into, because I'm going to encounter friendly Otyugs. These Otyugs, we bargain with them, and they say, if you take out this other group of Otyugs lair, we'll let you pass, and we'll view our treasure. And we're like, okay, but we don't actually go to that because that's slow. But it avoids the fight with those Otyugs as well. Okay, now we're going to go into a set counter here to grab a couple of good magic items, or one mostly, against these semi-dangerous trolls. Alright, let's go ahead and do a Stinking Cloud there. We can get them immediately. Stinging Cloud can paralyze the enemies and allow us to one-shot them. Unfortunately, the trolls are immune to hold person because they're not people, they're giants, but that's okay. Alright, now we want the Staff Sling for Twig of Thicket because it'll do more damage. The other stuff we really actually don't need at all, but a little bit of experience as well. This Staff Sling will see us through the game for the most part, and just gives her slightly more damage and chance to hit. So it's something nice to grab. Oh, need to memorize my Stinging Clouds again as well. And I'm going to be using them much more. We find the secret door here. We come to the chambers. We could train in this area, but we don't need to. Mostly this is just a safe area to let us into the... Oops. This is the one here. I just had to find it first. I want to save the game because I can get random encounters in this room. Now I can't get random encounters because these are the secret halls. I can again beyond this door though, and again we don't want the random encounters because they're slow. Alright, now we're going to find this armory. We're going to grab this longsword, which is superior to the longsword I just grabbed, so I'm already going to drop it. And we are also going to take this necklace and go ahead and grab Twig of Thicket, this flail, just in case she needs it. Alright, now we're going to save the game, quit to DOS, so that we can reload again and enter the party formation screen. Alright, so now, our good friend that we made, Wiggles, we're going to employ now. Wiggles is going to do some very important jobs for us. We want Wiggles to hold on to this longsword, this necklace, and this dust. And now, Wiggles, you go out of the party for a bit, and the rest of you, you go away. I don't need you anymore. Oh, wait, let me load up my game. I need somebody. Better take Wiggles out. Wiggles, come back. Warble went out. And, Wiggles, you have some stuff you're holding on for us, right? Why don't you give that over to these other nice gentlemen? And, oh wait, actually I need Wiggles back again. So notice I have 2 of these long swords now. This little trick here is a item duplication exploit that I can use, because when you remove a character from the party and they go into the pool, they no longer become part of a save file. When you load and save games, it only affects the active party. It doesn't affect characters in the save file here. So by doing this, I can constantly multiply the equipment we get until we have all we need of these back-breaking, completely game-wrecking items that we have. This is the second best sword in the game that we can possibly get, and the last one is in the very final dungeon, so a very convenient thing to have. Only need one more sword. Takes a little bit of time to set all this up, but the power that it gives us in altering the game makes everything go a lot faster. Alright, now we just need one more. We need to do this one more time. Trade our necklace to Wiggles. Alright, and that'll be enough. Move him from the party, drop the rest of the party. Load the save game. Add Wiggles back into the party. Alright. Oh yeah, I just need to trade. Okay. Now we remove him from the party, go ahead and overwrite. If I don't overwrite, I have to resave it as a different name, and it causes a lot more complications. Besides, we like Wiggles. That name was donated for. So now, I have multiple of these swords. I need to trade one of them to Warble. And he needs one more necklace. He has 3 necklaces, so he's fine. He can drop this sword, trade that sword to Red Luigi. No, Red Luigi has one, actually, already, doesn't he? Yeah, so Spindle Shins needs the last one. Another necklace to, was it Alohand who needs it? Yes, 3 on Alohand. 3 will get us through pretty much the game most of the time. I'm also going to be dropping my bows now because they won't even use them because of the long swords they have. It's just better now. Drop the old mace, and 1 necklace to Warble. Warble doesn't need as many necklaces because he'll get better stuff before too long. Alright, F in chat for Wiggles. We won't be seeing Wiggles anymore, but he did us a very, very important favor, so we're very grateful. And now we're going to go ahead and move onward. I'm going to go ahead and first of all use this dust. Save the game because we surrender to these Fire Knights. They take us to their leader, and with the bonds we can't fight him, but they've kidnapped the princess of the kingdom. But she's a pretty buff little princess. We briefly saw her there. Now she gets to use her, she slips her bonds, her not the Azure bonds, but she's been tied up, but she manages to break out of them, or loosen them somehow, clubs the leader of the Fire Knives to knock him senseless, and so because of that, the Fire Knives' ability to control us is gone, and we're able to fight the rest of the Fire Knives. Now, because we use this Dust of Disappearance, we have improved invisibility. If you saw my Pool of Radiance run yesterday, it's the exact same thing. And again, if you saw Pool of Radiance yesterday, you already know the power of necklaces and missiles as well. We're going to be using these fireballs to just blow our way through thing. And yes, Wiggles will get the team tattoo. In as much as we get one. He's still, yeah, whatever. Oh, I don't want to do that, actually. That's fine. I don't want auto combat with the necklaces on, because in this game, my people are dumb and they will shoot themselves. Oh, there's one left. He's running away. What is he? Darn. That's good. Waste time. Okay. There, now we're good. That's right, those tattoos. Yes, actually, every character you import will have all the tattoos, so there's no way around that. We don't need any of this stuff, and so now we've defeated the Fire Knives, and one of our tattoos is loose, but they kick us out because we did try to kill the king, and they can't know that we're being controlled by anyone else. So now it's time to journey on to Ashbin Ford, and we get one of our 2 wilderness encounters here, very inconvenient. A bunch of hippogriffs. Outdoor encounters are bad because I can't set up beforehand. This is actually not bad, though. This is a pretty good setup. But because the terrain is all randomized, it's very difficult for the AI to all gather around us the way we'd like them to so we can fireball them. And since we're slow because of mostly wearing plate mail armor, we can't reach them very easily, so it's best just to wait for them. Fireballs have actually a lower AoE out of doors. There is a lot of sophisticated D&D rules that they did a good job of putting into this game. One of which being that fireballs, because of compressed space, they have a bigger explosion indoors. We journey to the Standing Stone by Wilderness. We meet a man here, thank him, doesn't matter. Journey on to Sembra. I've forgotten to train, but that's okay. Oh. I was not supposed to go by Wilderness here so I could avoid the Centaurs. Doesn't matter. It just wastes a small amount of time. Okay, we can't train our Paladins yet, but we can train our 2 fighters. Why can't Spindleshan's train? Oh, because he doesn't have the money. I need to go to a store so I can dole out some money. How much do we have? Not enough each. I guess I better appraise some jewels. 1,000, that's a lot. Okay. How much do we have now? Almost 400. I want a little bit more so that okay, that should be fine for quite a while. That'll be 3 level ups each, which will be good for quite a bit. Alright. Back to the hall, train Spindleshins, and train Werble to be a 5th level fighter. That's all we can do for now. Let's go to the inn and fix. We didn't actually use spells. We didn't... Oh, the cleric can level up as well. Forgot about that. I forgot, I was playing Pool of Radiance so much, I forgot that I could level everyone at once. Okay, now our Twig-a-Thicket can get more spells. Another prayer spell, just in case. Alright. Now we need to go to the city of Hap to find our next master. Along the way, we get our second wilderness encounter, Black Dragons. These are the only dragons we'll actually fight in the run. We can see another huge horde of Black Dragons, but... And, as usual, the outdoor encounters are sticking them, which is bad. Black Dragons are moderately dangerous. They have a low amount of hit points compared to later D&D editions, but they can do damage with their breath weapon equal to their maximum hit points, so in this case, 48. 48 damage is quite a lot of damage, and since there are 3 of them, if they're close enough, they can kill off large members of my party in a short go. Luckily... They are stuck by trees, aren't they? For the most part. Well, one at a time is okay too. Luckily, they cannot breathe on us if they move. It's just the way the AI is programmed. They're programmed to check, first of all, if they can use any of their gazes, breath weapons, similar type things, maybe even spells, and then they will only move to attack if they can't reach anyone. Those were good fireballs. Okay, so he is stuck somewhere. Where exactly is he stuck? Way up there, okay. since we can't see too much of the map at first go, this is fine. Yeah, these trees spread around in a perfect way to block him. They have a huge movement because they get to use their flying movement speed, but they cannot fit through tightly packed trees like that. Hopefully this will kill him. I can't see him, so I can't check his hit points. Oh well. Okay. That, thankfully, is over. And so last time we'll be using Necklace of Missiles for a little while, because unfortunately, Hap is ruled by a bunch of Dark Elves. They've taken over the city, they work for Dracandros, our next master, and they are almost immune to magic, so it isn't even worth it to try and cast spells at them. It's faster just to fight them in melee. We can actually reduce the numbers in this coming fight by... let's go ahead and cast our Blessing Prayer. We can actually reduce their numbers by fighting these patrols, so we wouldn't fight so many, but it's a whole lot faster to take them all on at once, especially when we don't, when we can't use the fireballs. Well, it'd be even faster with fireballs, but... So I'm just turning my people on quick combat because that's the fastest way of fighting in melee if I'm not specially targeting where the necklaces go. Alright, so if you have time for any donations or such things, you know, plug anything, this is a nice opportunity.
Alrighty, so at the beginning of the run we did have another dollar donation from Iceburner. Almost forgot, I named one of my Dark Souls characters this, and that was the donation for Wiggles. We do have one more thing we do have to do in this run, and that is the symbol, yeah? The symbol of power?
Yep.
So we still need a symbol of power for this game. And
that can be any keyboard character. It can be a letter, a number, your asterisk, percentile, something. I can use most things on the keyboard if you want to donate for some random thing.
Yep. And additionally, in a couple of runs, we have a Soul Blazer Rando race. And we're taking the top 3 names for Blazers, but we don't have any names just yet. So again, for those low prices, y'all can snipe any name you like for that.
Okay, so now that we've defeated the Afridi leading the Dark Elves there, we've saved the city, but before we go there, we need to leave the town. They don't have any place to level up, and we need to level up specifically to get this level. Our 5th level magic user needs to learn Haste for a couple of fights coming up, or else they are truly dreadful. So we get those. Now we need to go to the inn so we can rememorize our spells. I get a new magic missile and the haste spell. Very, very important for doubling. A haste spell doubles the entire party's attacks for a number of turns, which basically doubles our damage. Very, very important. Now we go back to Hap. And now we are going to use another thing of dust, which lasts a long time. Luckily, no time actually passes if you don't take a step on the map, so no time is going to pass between us going in the wilderness into the caves and this moment right here. So, as we come in here, everything is already, no time's passed, so we still have our Dust of Disappearance on. Yep. There's another point where we get a power surge due to level ups coming ahead. We don't have to worry about gaining strength level ups kinds of things in this game, but by increasing our fighter levels, we get more attacks per round. So these Dark Elves work for this lady named Silk, and she wants us to do some stuff for her. We agree because she gives a new tattoo of the Swan Maid to Twig a Thicket, because she only likes women, and she can use that that is actually going to help us later on to avoid a battle. We're not actually going to do anything she wants us to. Sorry, it's just slow. We can easily flee from these patrols. One of the things that it does is it makes some of the encounters automatically avoided, but it's not actually any faster, since all I need to do to avoid it is flee away like that. So now, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and use one more dust as a refresh before this fight. Not a very big fight, but the next one is the bad one. So the sole reason I need a female character in this game is just to get the Swanmei tattoo, because this will allow me to avoid a very nasty fight later. We'll get into that. You can also use it to avoid some of these patrols, which is pretty minor, or do some quests for some extra experience, which I might do. I like to do in marathons because it's not that much longer. Just a little bit fun. I've been forgetting to grab their equipment, though. Also not a big deal, but slightly helpful. Now, we need to use our haste spell for this battle because it's difficult. Lessen our prayers. Now this Draco Lich, we do not surrender to him because that's bad. Draco Lich can, even though we have Dust of Disappearance, he can hit us with his gazes, which is bad, so... And that was one way the Swanmeis are good. I usually do not get encounters after fighting the Draco Lich, but after we've killed the Draco Lich, the patrols become hyper-aggressive and we can't run from them any. So... Elohan took a lot of damage from getting hit, so we meet Dracandros, and he has a brilliant idea. The Fire Knights wanted to use us to try to assassinate the King of Cormyr. Dracandros wants to start a war between the Black Dragons and the people of the normal humans of this part of the realm. And so he is controlling us to attack this dragon, which is just an illusion. And so this will convince the dragons to attack the humans, because the humans attack the dragon. The dragons are smarter than that. They say, you're controlling them. Release them from your control. So he does. He removes his bond from us. And then they see what we do. We attack the wizard, and the dragons are like, okay, this is your problem. We're leaving, so we don't have to fight the dragons. Dracandros runs away, leaves his guards to try and fight us. And so now, he teleported us to the top of his tower, though, so now we actually have to climb down the tower to escape. And find and kill him because he has a important MacGuffin for us. I need to get some equipment for my characters, however. Who do I want to give it to? Verbal is... that he'll be getting better stuff later. No, so I do, actually. That's right. Twig of Thicket. Yeah, I'll go ahead and give some to you. And Spindleshins. I should have been collecting some of this for a bit now. I move twice as fast and have a lower armor class. However, this Drow chainmail is made of a special adamantine alloy that melts in the sun, because the Dark Elves are subterranean and stuff. They have dark magics and all sorts of other crazy things. So we can only use it while we're in this dungeon, but it's pretty nice while we're in the dungeon. Every Dark Elf that we fight pretty much has it, so... that's the thing. Now I definitely need to rememorize my haste spell here. And my bless and prayer spells for safety as well, because the worst fight in the game is actually coming up. So we're first of all going to use another Dust of Disappearance, because it does make us a little bit harder to hit, so that will be safety, as well as casting our haste spell for double attacks, bless and prayer to make us more survivable. I keep safe to 7 game because this fight is just so bad. And we go down, we fight the Dark Elf Lord Burley, Dracandros' bodyguard. Now, he is infinitely awful. He has a -7 armor class. Before the battle began, we had a little event that hit us with a symbol of pain, which basically reduces all of our stats. I memorized Find Traps, that's very bad. Now, I have a very low chance of hitting with Hold Person, but if it does hit, this becomes a free fight. We will one-shot him, and we're very happy. So even though it's only like a 5% chance, it's worth the time to make an attempt for it to work. Only one more shot because I cast the wrong spell. Otherwise, we just have to hope that we take him down before he takes us down. And he's taking out one character, that's bad. We are missing like crazy. I have had to reload this fight multiple times, so yes. This looks like it might happen here. Ooh, 3 down. We're in bad shape. Okay. I'm just going to reload. She can eventually possibly hit him at range, but chances are low. Definitely marathon luck there. It's not very often that he manages to kill me like that, but it does happen, so... it's very unfortunate that I have the Find Traps, too. But not a super big deal. I already cast my other spells. Alright, he didn't go first, too, which is also helpful. Eventually, if nothing else, I'll get him with, Old Person. We've already got him down 40 hit points this time. That's pretty good for a first round. The chunks are hits, and the whooshes are misses. So, hey, it worked. Okay, much better. Alright, now we get to loot all his stuff. He has the best armor and shield in the game. So, let's see. Trade that to Red Luigi. So now we get to use those instead. This Drow Longsword is +5. It also will disappear when we leave this dungeon, but for now it's even better than the other swords we have, which are +3 frostbands. So we took some damage here, but now we're going to rest up, rememorize our spells. Stinking Clouds sometimes works, but it's in that small circumstances with all my characters meleeing, it's hard to get around it properly, so I just generally avoid it. If I had a regular mage and not a fighter mage, I'd probably be more likely inclined to use it. So we're ready. Yes, so we've rested up. Okay, now I need to remember to use Dust one more time here. We're going to do a few things for fun as we make our way down. Of course, we get a random encounter right off the bat. This is the one place in the game where I really don't care too much about random encounters, though, because they tend to be small. 3 to 6 people is it. Wow, this is incredible luck. But luckily, salamanders are like the easiest of all the random encounters we can get. Okay. Oh my word! Do I have search on or something? I probably accidentally have search on. This is pretty crazy. Okay. Oh yes, I do want to get some more, one more at least, set of Drow Chainmail as well. That's everybody except for Red Luigi, right? And he has the banded mail. Okay. I don't have search on, I'm just getting... Okay, a sign over this black door says, Trial of the Sphere, 1 challenger only. Does anyone wish to enter? Yes. We are going to have Twigathicket represent us. So we pass into a dim room occupied by a young mage dressed in a red and holding a silvery rod. Between the two of you is a floating, dead black sphere. This is called an Orb of Annihilation. Wizard intones, this is a Sphere of Annihilation, orb or sphere. Its touch means utter destruction. Only a mage can control its flight. You may surrender at any time. I am a cleric, I'm not a mage. I concentrate on the sphere, it moves toward the mage. I concentrate on the sphere, it moves toward the mage. I concentrate on the sphere, it moves toward me. Okay, fine. Moves toward the mage. Moves toward the mage. It's only 10 feet. Moves towards the mage. Moves back. Okay, that's fine. So we keep doing that, and eventually it hits him, and boom, and we get all of this money. And that's a lot of money. We're not going to bother taking it. But we got a lot of experience for that. So even though it can only be controlled by a mage, it actually goes off your intelligence and wisdom stats, which we have all 18s. And in a case of a tie, it actually moves toward the most powerful wizard. So it works to do that. This is unbelievable encounter luck. This is my 5th encounter on the 1st floor of the tower. That is really insane. Alright. Now we find another evil lord there, but we just... Okay, now we fight some owlbears. We get a pick not found for some reason. Owlbears we can blow up with fireballs. So even though the Dark Elves have a chance of being hit, but it's low, but the owlbears are very crispy, burned up to a toast by fireballs. So we use our necklaces of missiles to take them down very quickly. Only one left. Alright, do you have a necklace on? No? Then quick combat. It's fine. No necklace, quick combat, fine. Combat, fine. Alright. Now here's a thing which is supposed to tell us how to avoid traps. It doesn't work. We come through this passage now, we get an egg, which we can give to Silk for experience. It was super easy to find. She also could use a heart, so if we fought those dragons on the tower, we could get that. Gonna take a lot of damage here. I'm actually going to use my 2 paladins here to heal up the mage, because he already took some damage. So Werble, give some healing from you. The cleric doesn't really do a lot of healing yet, although it's good enough for fix. Okay, we're going to go ahead and reuse our dust here for safety. And that's all we're going to do, however. And now we haven't been getting our encounters. They were all front-loaded. Alright, so wyverns. If you remember from last time, we fought one wyvern and that was dangerous. Now we get to fight a huge amount of wyverns. Still dangerous because they can poison and kill us. Luckily, because they can't see us, they can't move toward us. So we're just going to fireball them. Darn, just can't reach that. Okay, there. Unfortunately, they're in a line, so our fireballs can't do the best job at hitting multiple of them, but they hit enough. Yes, these are very big wyverns. Okay, that's that side of the room done. Now just two more. Good. This will be easy enough. We'll just chop him up. Slightly dangerous, but yeah, not bad. Okay, only one fight left, hopefully, unless we get random encounters. Okay, no random encounters. So we're going to go ahead and cast our hastes and bless and prayer spells for this fight. Safety save. Here's Dracandros. Now, Dracandros has an invisibility spell on that makes him untargetable by magic, same as our Dust of Disappearance makes for us. However, we're smarter than he is. If we want to hit him with a fireball, we just throw it at that Dark Elf right underneath him. We definitely want to damage him initially because he can cast one dangerous spell, which is Fire Shield. That will put a damage shield on him that will deal equal damage to us that we deal to him in melee. And we don't want him to get that off. He could potentially kill ourselves hitting him if that happens. So we prefer to do that with Fireball. Even though the Afridi are fire creatures, they are not immune to fire. They do have a lot of resistance to it, but they aren't immune, so they take a little bit of damage as well. But once we've taken care of Dracandros, it's just back to meleeing with our powerful weapons here. And we're just about done with this. We get 2 sets of loot from Dracandros, which are pretty good pieces of loot here. Alright, let's see. First of all, Werble gets it all. He gets bracers and a ring. So he is going to drop both of these. And we also find a important MacGuffin, the Helm of Dragons, which is one of the items we need to defeat Tyranthraxus, our final master and the ultimate bad guy in the game. Which you don't even really hear anything about, but the text tells us that we found it on his body, and of course we get an encounter on the first battle after. Lucky, I think we still have haste on, so we'll cleave through these guys pretty quick. This was actually pretty slow because of the random encounters and also the doing the Orb of Annihilation room for fun. And why not? We will go ahead and go back to the cave. Silk says us. We give her this egg. She gives us more stuff for more experience. We like getting the we have plenty of money, though. I'll go ahead and share it anyway. Whoa, we have way more money than we need now. Okay. I might need to get rid of some. If we go back to the tower, of course we get attacked on the way, which is why I don't do this normally, because this has very good odds of happening, getting another encounter right when I try to do this, and it's not really necessary experience, but I'm beefing up a bit because there's one other thing I would love to show off before the end of the game, and I want a bit of extra XP. Now I can go to the wilderness and leave. We're departing the area entirely, so now our Dark Elf equipment is gone, which is bad. So now we're going to journey to Assembra. We can go any way we like. Okay, here is where the final thing. Did we... I forgot to mention we need to cut off the last few things right here because this is where we get to use them. Did any donations come in for the Symbol of Power?
I'm gonna do a final double check, but I don't think so.
Okay, so yes, as MG Weirdo says, this is a copy protection thing, but they cleverly disguised it. So as I mentioned yesterday, these old DOS games had some weird ways of doing copyright protection, and to cleverly disguise it this way, even though we've already passed through this area twice, we didn't come across an impassable chasm. This time we did. A narrow bridge is guarded by an old man. He cackles, "You must answer me before the other side ye see." Yes, the inspiration for this is obvious. What is your quest, and what is our quest?
I believe, unfortunately, ramen was outbid, so I believe it is purple bond.
Okay, so Azure bonds aren't enough for us. We are seeking a purple bond. Obviously, that is our quest.
I mean, purple's not a bad color bond to seek out.
Okay, what is our favorite fruit?
Lemons with S in parentheses. I don't know if you can do that.
Yes, I can actually. That's
So
I
it's
laughed
lemon
at that.
with the S in parentheses.
Yes, lemon or lemons. And what does this mean? No symbol of power, so we say nothing. Luckily, this is a cracked copy from GOG.com. If you want to play these games again, go and buy them from GOG.com. Sorry for the plug, but it is great. They cracked the copyright protection, so you don't have to worry about filling that in all the time. So we can pass. If we hadn't done that, I would actually have to use the code wheel to figure out what that is and then type in that letter. No, purple is not Azure, but that's just it. We already have Azure bonds. We wanted purple bonds. So, okay, now we enter the city of Asembra. Go to the training hall. Train up to be level 7, which is very important. This will give us another 50% damage increase because we now get to attack 3 times every 2 rounds. Or if we have the haste spell on, 3 times a round. So effectively, math-wise, that's a 50% damage increase. We also need to put on our armor again that we aren't wearing because our old armor melted away. And let's see. He can be a level 6 fighter as well. So we actually we got so much experience, we are just shy for most of our characters of leveling up again, which is nice. We won't worry about that until later. Now we need to go back to the store. I'm going to change out some equipment by identifying an item. Whoops, I forgot to pull first. Oh, he needs to equip his new sword too. Oh, actually, I also need to identify these so I know which ones are important. I may use these for something later on. I don't need the invisibility though because we have dust. Okay, share, how much money do we still have? 1,200, which is way too much. Our poor cleric is totally weighed down. I'm actually going to drop all of her money. Go to the store once again. Pool share, 1,000. Okay, that's good enough. That's still way more money than we need. Go to the inn so we can memorize our spells. We get a lot more magic missiles, a lot more stinking clouds, and a couple of fireballs and haste spells for now. Bless the prayer. Finally, we get bigger healing spells, so if we need to do emergency field healing, we can do a little bit of good with it. Alright, so next we need to go to Ulash to fight the group of Moander. So we're going to go to Hillsfar first. We go via the wilderness to avoid encounters. Same thing, go to Ulash via the wilderness. We ignore this group following us, and we enter the city of Ulash. We ask permission. We get hit by a horse on the way out. This is the continuing saga of the Princess of Cormyr and the priest she's run off with. We parlay and go with the guards. And now we are going to save the game and exit to RNG manipulate. I have no idea why this works, but based on the choices I've made, the characters I have, and the choices I will make in this conversation, I have a 50-50 chance of impressing the commander and avoiding a fight. But if I don't save and quit, I don't impress him. If I save and quit, I do. I let these spies go. If I were to fight the spies, I would guarantee impress the commander, but that's slow. We don't want to do it, so... Respond haughty, we please the commander, he lets us out, so now we can avoid all fights and use this as a safe haven to heal and everything else if we really need to. Because of the RNG manipulation, I also am guaranteed to get an encounter right here. I don't know why, but it works every time. It's weird because there are certain times where the stuff is guaranteed and other times where it is not. We need to use some more dust. Who has dust? I hope I have more dust. Who, okay. 5 dusts. That should be enough for the rest of the game. Oh yeah, and he still has a lot of dust too. 8 dust. Yes, we're good on dust. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and cast one of my haste spells here because this is a nasty, annoying fight otherwise. These wizards, you remember what I said about Tricandros? These wizards have the same spell, and they are also have They also have sphere globes of invulnerability on, minor globes, so they're immune to 3rd level spells like fireballs or magic missile. So chopping them up is the fastest way to deal with them. Now we'll just cleave through the rest of these guards. That's the really only major danger. We can take some damage from the fighters who can attack us when we're in melee, but easy fight otherwise. Hopefully we won't get any random encounters. We usually don't, but sometimes things happen. Here we have Shambling Mounds, and they have this cleric that they're trying to drag away. Shambling Mounds are also immune to fire, so once again, fireballs are useless. Luckily, there's only 3. It's actually a random amount. It can be as low as 2 or as many as 6 in this encounter, even though it's a set encounter. It's weird. Okay, we've taken a little bit of damage, but that's okay. Now we get 2 wands, a Mysterious Wand and a Wand of Defoliation. Wand of Defoliation is super duper awesome, at least for this portion of the game. It is an anti-plant spell, and we fall into a pit, take a bit of damage, okay, whatever. Now we enter the pit of Moander. We're sealed inside, but that's okay. We're just going to run straight to the end. Dash our way through these doors, which will auto-lock. Examine the corpse, doesn't matter. I don't mean to, but I accidentally did. Usually E is exit. Took a little bit of damage there, but now we encounter Elias and Dragonbait. We spam through the thing, and the default action is actually to attack them, and then they say, wait, don't attack us, we want to help you, and the default action is then to let them join. So it's really weird, but it's fastest just to spam through that. So Elias is the heroine of the real story of Azure Bonds, a very good novel. This game is a semi-sequel to the Azure Bonds novel, but Elias and Dragonbait are the 2 main characters there. They're really cool characters. Unfortunately, I don't have the time to really talk about them. So we're about to fight a couple of big fights here. I need to reuse Dust so that it affects Elias and Dragonbait. Gonna cast my other haste spell as well as Bless and Prayer. And now begin the fight against Moander and her clerics. And they're trying to use us to resurrect their dead god Moander, but for some reason it just fails, and only pieces of the god come through, and our bonds is destroyed, so now we get to fight these guys. Now, this is the power of the Wand of Defoliation. I need to get rid of something in hand first. It does a 3 space wide, like, kind of semi-cone that damages those plant monsters for mid-teens to, yes, that's actually good. Mid-teens to mid-20s in damage. Pretty darn hefty. No saving throw or anything to it, so very, very nice to have going on here. And again, because of our invisibility, the enemies can't see us, so they won't even approach us. They'll only attack us if we are in melee with them. The clerics are not immune to fireballs, so we'll go ahead and use fireballs just to take them out more quickly. The one different looking one there is the High Priest Mogion, who has some good stuff. She just surrendered. She was so scared of us. And that's the battle. Okay. Now, oh, wait, actually, yes. Jazzmaster, we definitely want you to take this Plate Mail and Shield, and I'll go ahead and have Red Luigi take the cloak. This is a Cloak of Displacement, which is worth some armor class, so now we have some decent armor classes spread around. Dimensional Rift snaps shut, and now the pieces of the god come out. Oh, she's too far away, I hope. I need to take off her necklace because she can't use it here before I quit combat her, just in case. Oh, I need to do wrong person there, though. Oh well. I'm too far away for it. Totally messing this up, but that's okay. I'm not in the right place. I can only get one of them. Need to move slightly. The weird semi-cone of this ray does weird things depending on where you are based on the size model. It's the only way I can hit 2 of these guys. We're cleaving through them pretty darn quick. This is going quite nicely. so we're almost done with the bits of Moander, the bits of the god that made it through the portal, but he is now a dead god, and this is all that's left him in these 3 giant shambling mounds. So that was an easy fight. Now we've got the Gauntlet of Moander, which is one of the other 3 MacGuffins that we need, and now we need to leave. Hopefully without getting too many random encounters. Luckily we can evade slugs. Okay, this is a set encounter coming up, and it's against Vegapygmies, plant people. As you can guess, plant people are pretty good to fireball. They're not actually, like, vulnerable or anything, they don't take extra damage, but unlike, you know, the shambling mounds, they at least are not immune, so... And one left. Seriously? Alright. Good encounter luck here, at least. Okay, final fight against the minions of Moander. With the wonderful battle cry of Kahila! Or something like that. Actually, the best place for it. Let's see. Yeah, you still have plenty of necklaces and missiles. Let's just use that up. Dun, 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 dun. Oops, that's too close. That's gonna get a couple of my guys. Ouch. Oh well. Gotta be very careful when you throw those fireballs since they're not immune. Alright. But that's all the people we can fireball down, so now to... Let's use this Wand of Foliation to get these 3. Whoops. He's the one I need shooting with wand. Oh well. Almost done with this battle. Oh no, you aren't the one, right? Alright, that's the end of the Cult of Moander. We leave, Elias and Dragonbait say good luck. And now we need to journey on to Zentil Keep. The wilderness to avoid fighting. We're going to camp outside first so we can get our spells rememorized and ourselves taken care of. Fix ourselves up. Now, in Zentil Keep, the Zentil Keep is a group of evil humanoids and such. Hopefully we'll get no encounters, but I have no idea because I'm slightly off of my thing here. Soldiers. Parley, let's see, Meek. They let me go and I'm Meek. Clerics, Parley, nice. The Blessing of Bane go with you. This can be bad, though, because the bonds can actually force us into combat, too. Luckily, that's it. Golly, more of them. Alright, now this halfling bard appears and lets us in so we can rescue her friend Dimswort the Sage. She disappears as soon as she lets us into the Temple of Bane, which has no exits, by the way. We have to take Dimsword along. He's a nobody. He actually doesn't really matter all that much to the game, but we have to pick him up as part of this. We also need to use some dust now. And now this strangely hooded woman says that she can let us out. So we've let her take us away. We meet this beholder. But before anything can go on, there's this big fight going on. So naturally, the Zentil forces are, as I say, they're a pretty evil group overall. They serve dark gods and other things. They're very nasty. Some of the primary antagonists of the Forgotten Realms region of the Dalelands and stuff. And they have a cache of weapons, magical weapons, that can only be used by good people. So their idea is, let's take some good heroes and take control of them with the bonds, and they can use the weapons for us, and they'll be our weapons. They will be our, tools to use in our conquest. Better idea than Dracandros, for instance, at least. But because they are evil, there are factions amongst themselves that are... not always in agreement, and this beholder Dexum... you just cast a magic missile, actually. Yeah. Nope. Tried to one-up the commander who put this, these bonds on us. I want to avoid any more fights if I possibly can, although it's a hard area to do so. So he kidnapped us, but then the leader of the Zentarim, invaded as well and was like, hey, these people are mine, you'll have them over my dead body. And the beholder said, deal, and vaporized him with the disintegrate ray. And so that got rid of our bond, which is good. However, now the beholder's lost interest in us because we don't have the Zentil Keep bond anymore. So he left, and meanwhile his forces and the Zentil Keep forces have started fighting in this room, and thank goodness that's it. We made it through. So you have a very high encounter chance in that room, because you have both the Priests of Bane and that serve Dexum and the Zentil Keep soldiers fighting each other. Yes, that was Olive Ruscettle as well, that halfling bard who brought us in to rescue Dimswort the Sage. Very annoying fights here, so I'm going to be saving and reloading every time I get them. This is a set encounter here, however. So now we can finally, however, start using our necklaces of missiles to deal with these encounters, because none of these guys are immune to fireballs, so this is guaranteed generally pretty high damage. Yes, we use the item dupe trick to get all these necklaces, as well as to get Dust of Disappearance, so we are permanently, effectively immune to magic. Just the time investment, since this is a speed run, the overall time investment for good portions of the game, even though there are two segments of it where we're practically immune to the fireballs, having those just makes these fights go a whole lot faster than trying to melee through them. Okay, they should start surrendering now. And, yep. Okay, and we can just kill them. Alright, one encounter down. Okay, we're about to fight the Beholder. Luckily, because of our... We're going to go ahead and... How many more do I have? 2 dust here. I think I have plenty. 1 dust and 3 dust. Oh yeah, I'll go ahead and refresh dust just for safety. Cast a haste spell. Cast Bless and a Prayer. Safety save. Dexum the Beholder. Oh, his, the Hooded Woman is a Medusa. That's bad. The Medusa can actually, is another character who, because of how her gaze is coded in the game, it can actually work even on our characters that are immune to being targeted. So the Beholder can't zap us with his rays, that the Medusa can turn us to stone. So that's bad. Usually we can kill her before she gets a turn, but safety save is most important because of that. Alright. And at this point, we'll just chop them up. Now, the Beholder is immune to magic because of the anti-magic ray of his big center eye. Theoretically, in a normal D&D setting, he could use that ray to get rid of our Dust of Disappearance, but the game is not coded to allow him to do that. He's just immune to magic, so he doesn't have really any good things. We get this encounter. This is a random encounter, but just, again, because of the weird RNG of saving and quitting that I use, it forces the encounter here if I haven't taken a random encounter earlier in the cave, or at least, you know, since I last reloaded, so I could possibly save time by taking some of the random encounters, but again, it's only if I've had one since reloading, and one is still less than taking multiple would be. Plus, I still have my haste spell on, so this fight is a lot easier to take here. Alright. I've never seen anybody run Buck Rogers. I've never actually played that one myself, although I understand that it is based on... was done by SSI using the groundwork for the rule set here, so that's... it might be something I eventually look into. Yes, no clerics with hold person on these fights is definitely the biggest reason to be using all those Dusts of Disappearance. Probably a bit of a waste to do that now. We should just chop them up. They should be surrendering here in a minute. Alright, one more set encounter. Hopefully we won't get any random encounters. This one is kind of rough, so we're going to use our second haste spell. It's not really bad, but it has the potential because, once again, we have to fight one of those Dark Elf Lords that we dealt with before, as well as all these Mana Cores who are nothing. But the Dark Elf Lord, nearly immune to magic. Luckily, we are not debuffed this time, and we have higher level and better stats, so it's not as bad, especially since we can still use haste, but, you know, definitely not preferred. Forgot that this is this guy. Yeah. Alright. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the same loot either, so we don't get to loot him. That should be the last encounter in these caves, except for random encounters, which are forced upon me, of course. Yes, naturally, Buck Rogers was the inspiration for Duck Dodgers. Oh my word. I hate it when they do that to me. Come on. Unfortunately, the final dungeon is just as bad when it comes to annoying encounter luck. In some ways, even worse. Okay, if I go like 4 steps without an encounter, I need to save again. Game gets into segments where the RNG just continually is loading up encounters. Then I'll go long swaths where I don't get any. It's very odd. I am not a coder myself to go in and look at how the actual calling up of everything works, but definitely save since I made it as far as I could. This is also technically a random encounter, but it's a Shadow of the Beholder that isn't real. Okay, we made it out. Oliver Scuttle and Dimswort leave, and voila. Okay, so now we can journey back to Ulash by Wilderness, journey to Hillsfar by Wilderness. Hillsfar are the major rivals of Zentil Keep, so if we had the Zentil Keep things, we can't do anything here. Good, 8th level, everybody. That's what I was hoping for. 7th level, we can Ice Storm. Okay, and that's... Some of us actually have too much experience. Good level again, theoretically. That's fine. Alright. Now back to the inn. But because, for some reason, we have to wear our bonds out in the open, and which bonds we have determines how certain people react to us. Very odd to think that we don't have them covered up. But if we have the Zentil Keep bond, with none of the people in the city will deal with us because they hate the Zentil Keep, and they think that since we've got the Zentil Keep tattoo, we're with them. So, luckily, it's on the way to the final dungeon area. So, after we've dealt with everything else, of course. Did I memorize with you? I did not. Okay, Sangstone. But we've dealt with Zentil Keep by the time we come to the area. So now we find out this old man at the Standing Stone is our final master, Tyranthraxus in disguise, who was telling us, he was actually giving us directions of where to go for our next encounter. These 3 middle sections you can do in any order, but I do them in the regular order because it just, as far as I'm concerned, works out best for the speed run. Now we can finally go to Myth Draenor, but actually we don't want to yet. Whoops, reloaded that. I'm going to save the game here because under a special save file, because I possibly want to do something after the run, because I think I'm going to have time. We are entering the final dungeon here, and it's not that long. So we journey to Myth Draenor through the wilderness, enter the city. This is not the ruins of Myth Draenor itself. Let's see, first thing we need to do is use a dust. We attack the spirit because it's a Rakshasa in disguise. We can avoid fights with the Thri-Kreen by telling them our master is Tyranthraxus, and they say we have no quarrel with him and leave us alone. However, we can also encounter phase spiders, which are dangerous and annoying, and you can't talk to them, so they attack you and you can't run away. Now we go into the woods. I'm going to go ahead and do one more semi-cool thing here. Okay, we parley with these guys, we're meek to them, and we pay them a tithe and they leave us alone. We are going to attack these hellhounds so we can get the ultimate treasure in the game. Normally I don't do this in the speedrun anymore. It takes a little bit of extra time, but it's fun to do. So this poor guy, we try to rescue him from the hellhounds. It doesn't do much good because he's dying, but in return for our attempting to help him out, he tells us where to find his ultimate treasure of a +5 longsword, the best sword in the game, as well as a girdle of Cloud Giant Strength. Or no, Storm Giant Strength. Strength 24, which is really incredible in game terms. Let me see if I can remember the way to go, since I haven't been there in so long. Again, luckily here we can pay these Rakshasa off. We don't need our money for anything, so it's perfectly fine to do that. Nameless appears. Can I look at the area here? I cannot, so trying to remember just where it is. There's only... Okay, yeah, this is the area. Now we get our cash. And these gauntlets of dexterity as well, which we don't need. But we'll give the sword and girdle to Alohand. Now, 24 strength, he has a Thaco of 2. Which means he has better than a 50% chance to hit even a -7 armor class. How much money do we still have? We still have plenty of money, even after paying all of these tithes. Alright, we come in and Tyranthraxus has taken over the body of a storm giant, and now he takes control of us using our bonds and tries to get rid of the 3 magic items we have, including the Lathander amulet I forgot that we picked up last time. But now Nameless is doing sneaky things for us. He's pretending to be a priest of Tyranthraxus's, and he saves the items for us and uses a spell to temporarily give us control of ourselves, so Tyranthraxus can't command us with the bonds. So using that, we have an opportunity to break free here. And now we're going to get a large number of random encounters that I would rather avoid for the most part. If we're lucky, we'll get encounters with 0 enemies. Yes, you can actually get 0 enemy encounters in this game. It's pretty funny. And if we see that, that'll be kind of neat. We might not. Let's see. I can't hit the High Priest and avoid hitting my guys from that angle, so I have to go with that. In these versions of it, that glitch doesn't work like that, unfortunately. It actually messes with the strength and makes it become a bad value, something useless. Usually it turns it to 100, but the 100 doesn't actually do any good for us. Hey, we made it out there without encounters. That's nice. That's actually incredible. Okay, minions, what have we got here? I'm just going to kill them. Oh, there's more than I thought. Oh well. No. Okay, that wasn't too bad. Save after the battle. They're too far away. It's actually better when they're up close, because then I don't have to waste time moving up towards them. I could theoretically fireball them down too, but I still have to move to get in range of the fireballs because the missiles don't have that close of a range. Okay, final level. We only have about 6 more steps to the final boss. Of course, minions. Yeah, that's too big a group. Oh, I entered the ruins. Ranner. Oh, whatever. The bonds are wriggling. That is technically also a possible random encounter. As well as the thing showing us. Okay, this is it. Final area. Now we are going to save the game. We are going to use one more dust for safety so it doesn't run out in the middle of the next fight. We're going to cast haste. We're going to cast bless and prayer. We're going to enter the final room and fight Tyrant Thraxus and his minions. Now, this is a pretty big dungeon, and we could theoretically reduce the amount of units that you find in this final battle by exploring the whole place and taking out a bunch of other encounters and areas, certain things. But why would we bother doing that when we can just fireball everything down with our necklaces of missiles? Some of us haven't used very many. We still have, golly, maximum missiles. 3 necklaces still. That's crazy. Not getting great rolls, but that's okay. It's still a good chunk of damage. While I'm finishing up this fight, if we've gotten anything, I don't think, it doesn't look like we've gotten any donations or anything, but if you have anything other to say, RPG check, now's an okay time.
Alright, well, just to remind people why we're here, this is RPGs We Love 3. We are fundraising to get our Valkyries to RPG Limit Break in May, especially since we do have a fair amount of Valkyries that have runs in. And all of your donations go to paying hotel fees, airfare, taxes, food, incidentals, and anything that we have left over always gets donated to NAMI, which is RPG Limit Break's charity of choice. So, we appreciate the help you've given so far. Like, you smashed our first goal, and we really appreciate it. We are on our way to our second, and there are secret incentives that go along with that goal. So, the only way to find out is to get there.
Alrighty, yep. Thank you all for getting us to our first goal before the marathon's even half over. That was really nice to see. RPG Limit Break is a great little event. I ran this actually for RPG Limit Break last year. It was a really good run. I'm very satisfied with it. And I'll be back again myself this year running Pool of Radiance, which I ran yesterday for that. And there's a lot of other great runs in, including many of the ones that were run and are being run here at this event will be shown again in RPG Limit Break as well in a live setting. So Look forward to that. So we're just about to finish off Tyranthraxus, who is immune to fire, but that's it. We've just killed the final boss, and time is coming up in a bit here, in just a minute here, as we get through these final cutscenes. We destroyed the Pool of Radiance with the Gauntlet of Moander, and Tyranthraxus' spirit is now banished to the Eternal Realms. He can never get a new body. Our last bond is faded. We are free at last. The Knights of Myth Draenor bust in, find we've already killed Tyranthraxus, take us to a feast, and we have won. 1:14:01. Not too bad. Faster than I did Pool of Radiance yesterday, so that's pretty nice. And it's well under estimate.
Friend.
You may notice that this is well under estimate. In fact, because when I submitted this, I didn't have a new updated video using time that our Goldbox community has agreed to for running speeds on DOSBox. When I was just doing it myself, I used the default settings for speed, but when a couple of other people started running Pool of Radiance, they asked if they could up the speed, and as a community, we agreed on 6,000 cycles, which is twice as fast as I was running, so a lot faster load times, a lot faster getting through auto combat. The game just goes much faster, so I didn't really get a chance to update it after when I submitted for this marathon, though. So, but I do have something I would love to show off since I am this far ahead of estimate, if I could.
I'll do a quick double check, but it's probably okay. Give me 1 sec. Yep. It's all yours. Go for it.
Okay, so there is a super boss. Whoops, it didn't work right. Oh well. So I saved this other game because there's actually a super boss encounter in this game, which is pretty infamous in the Goldbox community. The Mulemaster Beholder Court. There are a number of... You notice that on most of these cities I've been in, there have been an option at the end, if you've been paying attention, for search area. There are these optional dungeons by most cities that we can explore. And and so you can search these optional dungeons, find more loot, oh, that's not what I want. Get more loot, more experience and stuff to level up your characters, etc. So that's all well and good, but of course we avoid them in the speedrun. But there's one in particular that is especially noteworthy. Let's see. I need to go to Hillsfar, journeying by wilderness, so that I can avoid encounters. Teshwave is, I believe, the one I want. Nope, it was Voonlar. I want to avoid encounters on the road, and going through the wilderness is more likely to get them. Shadowdale. And now I believe I need to go to Daggerfall, where this is. So let me double check my notes, because I don't do this very often, but I want to show this off. Okay, that's the Shadowdale, yeah. Oxum's Tower should be then by Dagger Falls. So let's journey on to Dagger Falls by the trail. Alright. Now we are going to search the area. We found a small magic shop. Now we're going to explore. Okay, we're in the foyer of the banner. This is Oxum's Tower, and there's some interesting things here. First thing we're going to do is use some dust for safety, because we're going to get a few encounters here on our way. We want to turn to the west here. Remains of a large sitting room. Go down here, circular stairway going up. We do not want to go up. Want to come in here, we fight some minotaurs. Oh dear. Wait. Do we have... Okay, there's a few more. Okay, we're gonna fireball these minotaurs down, of course. Easiest way to take care of them. Okay, that's that. Okay, now I'm in the dungeon. I have to just make it through a couple more areas. And that's right there. Motyugs here. We were taught by Otyugs plural. I learned to count from public school in Wyoming, but that didn't seem to be Otyugs plural to me. I haven't done this very much, so I'm not sure how the random encounters are in here. But there are apparently some. I have answered just as I'm finding out. All right. Beholder core is gawk. A large round shape disappears into shadows. Attacked by Otyugs plural. We can take care of a few Otyugs like this. They're pretty easy. Goodness, these Otyugs seem to have a lot more hit points than I remember them having. There we go. Alright, Otyug's done. Beholder floats in front of you. You are not of creatures invited to this conference. However, the core is merciful. Go now if you value your lives. Another Beholder. This is an optional dungeon where we're going to, fight some, a really difficult encounter. Okay. Almost there. Okay, here we are. Now we are saving the game. We are going to use another dust to refresh it because it can wear out in the middle of this battle. Don't put that on pretty much. We're going to cast our Bless and our Purr spells. We're going to go ahead and cast Haste. I have 4 hastes. I'm actually going to be recasting it in the middle of the fight because this fight is that bad. Warble needs to put on a shield for added protection as well. Okay, here we go. You enter a room dominated by a large conference table. On each side is an assemblage of Rakshasa, Drow, priests, and beholders. They are discussing the fate of adventurers. What do you do? Flee in panic. Throw caution to the wind. So, just look at this. I said before, when we first fought the first Dark Elf Lord, that it was the worst fight in the game. Now we have 10 of them. 15 beholders. 10 high priests, and 8 Rakshasa, who we largely avoided, but this is the most difficult encounter, one of the most difficult encounters in the entire Gold Box series. Most of these characters are immune to magic, or nearly so we can't fireball them down. We're going to have to hack our way through. And they are tough, so, well, here we go. If we don't have Dust of Disappearance, this fight is almost impossible simply because of the 15 Beholders. Before anything else. 15 Beholders would be nearly impossible because they get about 3 death attacks around with a Stone to Flesh Ray, a Death Ray, and a Disintegrate Ray. So we can fireball down the High Priest when we get to them. If we make it that far, we'll be pretty close to being able to beat this. Luckily, they're going to keep trying to cast their spells at us, so as long as we can make it through the Beholders before Dust of Disappearance wears out, we'll be fine. This is legitimately one of the first... It's not a traditional super boss like a single entity that is huge, but just these numbers are so insane. This is one of the first super boss style encounters in RPG history. This game came out in '89, and if you really explored it a whole lot, you found these guys. This is going pretty well. We're cleaving through these guys pretty fast. If my movement drops, I need to gather up my characters and recast the haste spell. it lasts only about 7 rounds, I believe, because I'm a 7th level mage. Luckily, the Beholders don't have a lot of armor class, so they go down relatively quickly. I need to also double check my hit points at times. Okay, 54. He's not doing too badly. They're trying to cast Hold Person, Lightning Bolts, Charm Person, Slay Living, but they can't see us, so... Yes, but this is not the game, Eye of the Beholder, so... Oh, I forgot the other things I wanted to do here. Oh well. Owie, taking some hits. That's not good. One Beholder left. So I guess beauty isn't in the Eye of the Beholder then. Wondering if our haste spell is done now. Let's see. Banded Mail. Yes, it is. So time to gather up our characters. Because not having that haste spell is going to make this so much more difficult. Cleric doesn't need to really be a part of it. Her damage is pretty minimal. Okay, cast haste. There we go. Oh, that's bad. Why does she have a necklace on? Accidentally quick combated her, which I didn't care about until she suddenly decided to start throwing fireballs. Ooh. Ooh, that's definitely bad. Kind of doesn't matter, but... There's no way to raise someone who's been knocked unconscious. Even though I can heal them up, they won't get up. Yeesh. This is looking pretty rough. If I die, I'm not going to redo the battle. It's too long. But I have done it before with this level of characters, but it is entirely RNG if I can make it through them. Even with all the advantages of having invisible characters and haste spells and 15 hit points. One of the things I could do to prepare for this better is perhaps go buy a bunch of healing potions and back up and use them if my characters get low, but... Another one down. And we are only at... we still have a lot of the Dark Elf Lords to get through. Well... might be safer now to back off and fireball down the Dark Elf Lords the rest of the way, actually. Because they can take damage, it's just rare and slow. Ooh, there's one more who can't, though. Werble got dead. That means no more haste spell and no good fireballs. Very unfortunate. Some of these are actually hitting a lot of the Dark Elf Lords, which is handy. That hit nobody. There. This is why I didn't bother during the run to try using these on most of the Dark Elves. Sometimes it looks like, yeah, a lot of them are being hit, but a lot of times it was useless. So against normal Dark Elves, it's just as good to use your weapons. But right now I'm in desperation mode. Okay, we're down to 4 Lords. They are definitely the most dangerous part of this fight, since they rely on chopping you up with weapons which they can hit you with. Oh, no, I can still use that. These. Only 3 left. Okay, well, none left for him, so... And again, the Rakshasa are immune to like anything under 5th level spells, so I can't use the magic on them. Alright, that's it for her, so... That's it for everyone. Now I guess it's just quick combat and we'll see who lasts. But looks like it's not going to be us. Oh, we took out 1. Okay, took out 2. Yep, that's it. Alright, so the cleric is, Dust of Disappearance is going to run out before she can kill them with her staff sling +1. But that was a pretty good go-round. I probably should have tried doing a little bit of my things earlier. But so this is the most dangerous fight in the game by far, as you can see. I'll go ahead and show you the game over screen after I'm defeated. That was a worthy attempt. Made it through almost all of them. Monsters rejoice, for the party has been destroyed. Press A key to continue. That was Curse of the Azure Bonds. Tomorrow morning, I will run the 3rd game, Secret of the Silver Blaze, but that's pretty much it for me, so we can move on from here.
Yo, thanks so much, Kane, for showing us that.